Hey guys, how's everybody doing? It is time for another video, and today's video is going to be a little bit different than what I normally do around here because I'm going to talk about a subject that I probably, well, for the most part, I've never really talked about it. I've talked about it a little bit, maybe once, but that subject is film. Now, if you're anything like me, you have seen that there is a resurgence of people using film. People are starting to shoot film again, and it's got this kind of retro, vintage feel to it. And what I'm finding is a lot of the people that are shooting film are the younger crowd, the 20-year-old crowd that, never shot film before. They started in the digital world, and now they have this fascination with shooting film. I've even met a couple of wedding photographers that are putting film into their workflow shooting weddings, which boggles my mind, but it's happening. Now, as I often like to do on this channel, I'd like to give a little bit of disclaimer and a little bit of history, a little backstory about who I am in my experience as I move forward with the topic of the day. And so my experience in film is I started shooting film when I got into photography back in junior high and high school. Digital wasn't even on the radar, so I learned with a film camera. We used to make pinhole cameras out of shoeboxes, and I learned to make black and white prints in the darkroom. And the magic of seeing that first print come up in the developer tray, I'll never forget that. That was one of the things that kind of sold me on photography and got me excited about the whole process. But I went to college, learned on film cameras. I shot medium format, large format. We certainly shot 35 millimeter as well. But I started my career in the film days. Shot tons and tons of film. I shot hundreds of weddings, film only. That's how we made a living. So I was part of the digital switchover in the early 2000s. And I was one of the guys that was excited for digital because I was tired of paying for the film and the processing and the printing, and it was a huge expense. So to me, the expense that you had to put forward for digital equipment, but what was, it was a lot of money. But once you did that, you could reuse those memory cards and you could stop paying for the film and the processing. So to me, that was exciting. And when the world went digital, I sold off all my film gear. I had two Hasselblads, I had a Nikon system that I had, and I got rid of all of that. Really, the wisdom that I had at the time was this stuff is going to be worthless at some point because everybody's going digital. So I got rid of it while it still had some value, and those cameras, had I hung on to them, would be of even greater value today, as they kind of did tank in value, and now they're going back up. But I haven't shot film for 20 years. I don't have any film cameras left. However, it dawned on me the other day that I do have a couple of film cameras left. Over here on this shelf is an old camera that's been sitting here kind of on display. I don't even know where I got this. Probably given to me by a family member. I don't even know. So this camera's been sitting on my shelf for a long time, and one of the biggest enemies of photography is dust. And this sucker is dusty. It's been sitting there for a long time. So I'm going to clean it up a little bit. But I want to show you a couple things. Number one, let's see. It shoots 620 film. Can you guys see that? Load 620 film. And I actually found a company that makes 620 film. I didn't know they did that. So I've got a roll of film, black and white film. I'll show it to you here in a second. But the other thing, it's one of the few cameras that is sitting on my shelf that the shutter seems to fire consistently and accurately every single time. I've got a couple of others similar to this. I actually have an old Brownie Hawkeye, I think, but that shutter doesn't trip every single time consistently. This one seems to be working properly. It's kind of limited. It's got only 3 shutter settings, and it's got 1, 2, 3, 4 f-stops. f12.5, 16, 22, and 32. So exposures might be a little tricky, but we're going to give it a shot. Let me show you this roll of film. It's right here. Filmphotographyproject.com is where this comes from. I have no connection with these guys whatsoever. I've never dealt with them, but I've heard that this is like the last manufacturer of 620 film. I don't know if that's true. So don't quote me on that. Maybe somebody in the who's watching this can give me a better understanding of that. But they make this black and white 100 ISO film, 620. We're going to run it through this camera. I've done a little research and I'm not completely sure. I don't know if I get 6 frames on this or 8, but I don't get a lot of frames on a roll of film. So this is going to be interesting. We're going to have to pick and choose and be selective, make sure each shot is a good one. We'll see how this goes. Okay guys, I am out here at a really cool spot outside of Spartanburg called Glendale. It's a little town, but behind me is a mill, or the ruins of the mill. Yeah, what's left of it. We got big blue skies, big puffy clouds today. Perfect day for black and white photography. And as you can see, I've got this old camera on my tripod. I don't probably need a tripod, but I've got some other things going on that I'm going to show you that it'll be nice to have it on a tripod so my hands are free. And you can probably hear the water behind me. So we've got some water, we got a waterfall and a bridge, and we got some opportunities here. Now I'm not exactly sure how many frames I got, so I'm going to be very specific in my shots. But I'm going to shoot this way first. Let's see if I can kind of do something like that and see how this works. Now I did not get a little 1 indicator. I'm supposed to be able to look through there and see a 1. I didn't see that yet, and I was afraid to keep winding on, like I'll wind through the entire roll of film before I see that 1, because maybe it's not lining up correctly. So we're going to see how that goes. Yeah, let's give it a try. I just took that first shot, wound the film, and got to a 1. So there is a 1 that comes up in that little thing. So we're going to start over. Now we're on frame number 1. Let's try it again. However, before I do, I don't think this lens is as wide as I was hoping, so I'm going to back up a little bit. Plus it'll put me in the shade. It's 91 degrees, and the shade's a little nice. Let's see. Oh no, I might end up in the sun anyway. That's all right. One of the challenges here, guys, if you notice, I've got 3 settings on my shutter speed. I've got this I, which is just a normal shutter speed. I'm not sure what shutter speed it is. Push the button and it opens and closes. If I put it on B, I push the button and the shutter stays open as long as I hold the button in. As soon as I let it off, it closes. T, I push it once, it opens. I push it a second time and it closes. The problem is I don't know what the shutter speed is. Now it's 100 ISO film. The Sunny 16 rule, and according to my meter as well, is we're at about 100th of a second, 125th of a second at f16. So I've got it set on 16, assuming that the shutter is about a 125th of a second. I'm just kind of guessing. And then, of course, the other thing, there's my little viewfinder right there. That's kind of interesting to try to look through that. It's also got this glass one over here that you can look through, and it actually will pivot based on whether you're horizontal or vertical. So we may try that one as well. Now, as I'm walking to the next place I want to take a picture, it dawned on me I didn't advance the film. So you can tell I've gotten lazy over the years shooting digital, that it automatically advances for me. So let me show you how that works. See how it's on 1 right now? I just took that exposure, so I will now crank it until we get to 2. Close that when you're not shooting or advancing. What does it say? Open only while you're winding. So we'll close that, move to the next spot. so I'm at my third spot, and I want to point something out that I do not miss when it comes to the film days. I want to show you what's in my pockets here. For starters, I've got a handheld meter. Got rid of the handheld meter when I went digital because the meter in the camera is so good. And then in the other pocket, I've got a couple of filters. Now, by and large, we don't use filters in the digital age, although we do use some. And one of the ones I have is a polarizer. That is something we certainly use. But I also have a 25 red. Let me see if I can show you this. I've got a 25 red and I've got a polarizer. So for this shot, I'm going to use both of those. Now, a polarizer, one of the things it does is make a blue sky bluer. And 25 red, what it will do is it will only let red light into the camera. It'll block the blue and the green. And because we're shooting black and white film, we got to think in tones. So anything that is blue or green will get darker, anything that is red will get lighter. So in this case, the red bricks from that tower are going to go lighter. The sky's going to go bluer. Any clouds that are left up there, which at the moment there's not very many, they should pop. And yeah, it'll also open up my exposure a little bit because that's probably going to eat about 3 to 4 stops. I'm going to measure that real quick and take another one with both of those filters. So a quick meter reading with nothing over the meter. The needle lands between 125 and 250. So we would turn this right about there. 30th of a second at 22. With the polarizer, there we go. It drops all the way down to 32. So two and a half stops for the polarizer. And the red filter, 3 stops. So we got 5.5 stops there. Okay, so 5.5 stops. What I think I'm going to do is I'm going to put this on T. I'm going to put this down to 22. And I'm going to expose it for about 2 seconds. 1001, 1002. Holding both filters over the lens. We'll see how it goes. One thing I wish I would have thought of, I wish I would have brought some kind of dark cloth to put over the camera while I was walking around in the sun, because I'm not sure how light tight the bellows are. I'm only assuming they're still light tight. It's an old camera, so they might not be, and if I was covering it while I was doing all this, I think that would have been probably better. Okay, I'm going to do one more shot here, then I'm going to go back and do some waterfall shots. Going to use the filters again. I like that idea because we got some good clouds this time. And I forget how much work getting those filters out and putting them over the lens and making sure the camera's set correctly. I forgot how much work all that is. I will say that one of the benefits to people shooting film is it is forcing them to slow down, think about what they're doing, and probably learning photography better than if they never picked up a roll of film at all. Okay, I'm in the next spot. Let me show you where I'm at. This time I'm going to use the filters again. I'm going to try to get that amazing sky up there. But I'm going to do about 4 seconds because I want to drag the shutter long enough to get a lot of blur to that water. We'll just see. You can overexpose negative film. You can't underexpose it very successfully, but you can overexpose it. So I'm thinking even if I'm a little overexposed, not going to be the end of the world. So we're going to do 4 seconds. Let's do F32 this time. F32, 4 or 5 seconds, something like that. 25 red and a polarizer. Slight adjustment before I do that. Let me show you how I moved over. Okay, I moved over in an attempt to try to get that log coming in. in the foreground, but let me show you how I'm trying to frame this one. Trying to look through this little viewfinder right here. It's really difficult to see exactly what I'm getting in the frame, but I'm going to recompose a little bit more and take the shot. Yeah, I'm going to get a little risky on this one, and I'm going to hand hold this shot because I want to get really low, and my tripod doesn't seem to go low enough. I want to try to get that rushing water in the foreground. I'm going to hand hold this one. We're going to go back to like 22 at the eye setting for the shutter speed, which I'm guessing is 1/25-ish. We'll see. Okay, I'm about to lose my glasses here. Okay, that was interesting. You see the water dripping off my face? It is warm out here. Now that was the 6th shot, and I'm thinking I might only have 6 frames, so I'm going to go over here in the shade and wind this to the next spot and see what happens, if we end up getting the 7th shot or not. How about that? We got a 7th shot, which I'm guessing means we have at least 2 more, 7, 8. So what are we going to shoot? That looks like it might be it, guys, because I'm not seeing the little dots. Let's see if we can feel. I should be able to feel the film break loose from the other sprocket. Yeah, now we're getting some letters. Doesn't wind very easily, I will tell you that. Oh, there it broke loose. Okay, and it just got very easy, and there went dark in there. Very easy to do. So there's the end of the roll. So there you have it. 8 frames on a roll of 620 black and white. First roll of film I've shot in probably 20 years. And I have no idea what I'm going to get because it was super hard to see through the viewfinder to really frame it up correctly. And I'm not sure on the exposures. And now the exciting part about film is you get to take it in to get processed, and you get to wait until you get it back to see if anything even turned out. So next step, take it to the lab and wait for it to get processed.